Hey everybody, this is lesson 10-8 on spheres, and as I usually tell you in the videos, I'm going to move as quickly as possible to try to protect your homework time. So if you need to pause and review anything, do so, or if you just need to pause and study what I've done, do that as well. And we will get started. So let's look at this top introduction section. I'm going to let you look at the picture while I read. A sphere is the locus of points in space. That just means the set. So that's the set of points that are actually on the outside of the sphere that are a fixed distance from the given point called the center of a sphere, right there. The radius of the sphere is the distance from that center point of the sphere to any spot on the outside of the sphere. And remember, the sphere is three-dimensional. The hemisphere would be half the sphere, so that would be if all you could see here was the green and the other half didn't exist. And the great circle is the circle going around the middle of the sphere, and it is literally just a one-dimensional circle and separates the sphere into two halves. So, sorry about the background noise for just a minute. Let's jump down and look at the formula for the volume of a sphere. The volume of a sphere with radius r is volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Now make sure that you don't overlook that this is cubed and that you're multiplying it by 4/3 to find out how much sand or liquid it would take to fill this entire sphere. Okay, so let's practice that. Let's look at example 1a. Find the volume of a sphere, and here's the sphere. It has a great circle in the middle. This is its great circle, separating the two hemispheres, and that great circle could be oriented any way in the sphere and still split it into two hemispheres. And we see that our radius is 9. So let's go over to my notebook and do volume equals, and here's our formula, and this is just going to take memorization, 4/3 pi r cubed. So we're going to have 4/3 pi, and then our radius was 9, so 9 cubed. All right, 9 cubed, I'm going to do on the calculator really quickly. And actually, we need to talk about how to do that. Let's look at my calculator. Let me see if I can get it in here. I might have to do this differently. For doing 9 cubed, you can simply put in your 9 and then use this arrow button right here and see how it raises it to a power. So now we're going to put in 3, and we can simply press enter there, and that's 9 to the power of 3. So let's come back into our formula, and this is now 4/3 pi times 729. So I'm going to say 729 times 4 divided by 3 on my calculator. Times 4 divided by 3, and that's going to do the 4/3 of it, and that is 972, and we still have pi. And our answer is in centimeters, and of course we're working on volume still, so this is centimeters cubed. So let's look at this again on my calculator. First we did 9. We used the arrow button right here. We raised 9 to the 3rd power and got 729. But then we needed to find what 4/3 of 729 was. Now 4/3 is an improper fraction, so if we change that to a mixed number, it would really be 1 1/3. And so that means this number is going to get bigger when we multiply 729 times 4/3 or 1 1/3. We should expect it to be bigger, and it's 972. Okay, now we have done that problem. Let's look at the top of the next page. This time they want us to find the diameter, not the overall volume, but the diameter of a sphere with volume of 972 pi inches cubed. So of course we're going to have to work our way backwards here. So let's go to the notebook and let's start with what we're given. We're told the volume is 972 pi inches cubed. And we need to fill in the formula for volume for a sphere, and that is 4/3 pi r cubed, and it's equal to 972 pi. Now we can do our canceling, so let's cancel pi right here and right here. Now, we want to start getting r alone in this equation, so the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by the reciprocal of 4/3 on both sides. So by 3/4, cross this, cancels both of those out, and times 3/4 over here. And we're going to say 972 on the calculator times 3 divided by 4. And that is going to give us 729. But we still have r to the power of 3 over here, and we need to take the cubed root of r and the cubed root of 729 to get rid of, or to get r alone. So what we need to look at is how on the calculator to do that. And y'all may already know this, but I bet some of you don't. So what we need to do first is, I'm going to show you two ways to do it. The first one is to press the math button. And you can see that that gives us the option for a cubed root right here on number 4. So I'm going to scroll down to number 4 and press enter. And then it has set up the cubed root function for me. And I simply put in my 729. So 729. And there you go. It takes the cubed root of it, which is 9. So our radius is going to equal 9. But I want to show you one other way to do that. Do you remember that a cubed root is the same, let's say the cubed root of 729 is the same as saying 729 raised to the power of 1/3. You can always undo a root this way by making it a power that's a fraction. So the way you would do this in your calculator is you would say 729, and then we're going to raise it to a power, and that power is 1/3, or 1 divided by 3, because a fraction is always a division problem. So 1 divided by 3, and there we go. And that's still going to give us the cubed root of 9. All right, so if you didn't follow that, watch that part again in the video. But let's get back to our problem. Our radius is 9. The question wants to know what our diameter is. So of course our diameter is going to be 2 times 9, or 18. All right, that is that one. Let's move on to C. This is 1C, and they want us to find the volume of, sorry, my finger's in the way, of this hemisphere. So now we need to talk about what the volume formula is for finding a hemisphere. Where here is the volume formula for finding a normal sphere, 4/3 pi r squared. So what do you think half of this might be? It's simply going to be 2/3 pi r squared. So all we did was we basically cut this fraction in half, 4/3 times half of it. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 2. So the final fraction is 2/3. So it's 2/3 pi r. You know what I'm doing wrong? This is not squared. That is cubed. I hope somebody caught my mistake in that. But anyway, those should be cubed. So the formula for the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. The formula for the hemisphere or half sphere is 2/3 pi r cubed. Our next problem, this is 1C still, deals with the volume of the hemisphere. And I'll show you the picture of it. The radius is 4 meters. So let's plug that into our formula. Here's our hemisphere formula. So we're going to say 2/3 pi, and our radius was 4, and it's cubed. So we've got 2/3 times pi times 64. I'm pretty sure that's what 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. Yes. Okay, so now we can take 2/3 of 64. I'm simply going to say 64 times 2 divided by 3 equals 42.66. and I'm looking to see, or 42.7 is what I used. So 42.7 pi. And the instructions told us to give the answer in terms of pi. So it's 42.7 pi meters. Remember, this is volume, so it must be cubed. All right, let's see. Let's do one more. This is the check it out, number 1, and it says find the radius of a sphere with a volume of 2,304 pi feet squared. So volume equals 2,304 feet. I said squared again and I meant cubed, so sorry. But now we've got to work our way backwards and get a radius. So we're going to say, now this is a whole sphere, not a hemisphere. So the whole sphere formula is 4/3 pi r cubed equals 2,304. And we will, let's see, we don't have pi in there. Oh, yes, we did. Sorry, I just didn't include it. It should be right there. So now we're going to cross out our pi. We're going to cross out our pi. We need to start getting r alone. So we're going to multiply both sides of this problem by the reciprocal of 4/3, which is 3/4. On this side, it cancels. And over here, we are going to say 2,304 times 3 divided by 4 equals 1728. 1728 equals r cubed. And to get r alone, we need to take the cubed root of each. So let's do a quick review of how I do that on my calculator. I'm going to say, give me just a second to get this so you can see it better. I'm going to do the math button, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to scroll down to number 4, where it sets up the cube root for me. I'm going to press enter, and now I have the cube root set up, and the number is 1728. So 1728, and the answer is 12. All right, let me set all this back up. The radius is 12. And that's all that they asked us to do in that problem, was find the radius. And we were dealing with feet, so this is 12 feet for that radius. All right, I'm going to stop the video there and start another one on example 2.